Okay, guys, so we have an SAT that is both reading and math, actual SATs. So let's begin. Okay, this is an easy question, so I'm going to go on ahead and mark easy. Okay, and let's just take this out very quickly. F of x, as you learned in algebra, always replaces from the first equation to the second. So f of x equals 8x, and then this would be your second equation. And this sets you up for a lot of things. Okay, it sets you up for when you get ready to do elimination, when you get ready to do substitution. So if f of x is 8x, all you have to do is take this 8x and plug it into your equation for 72. So we're going to take this value, 8x, and put it here. So now let me go ahead and write it, because this is what they do in your algebra books. Equals 72. Putting your first equation, now you're going to go f of x. F of x is 8x. So just put 8x equals 72. A lot of people are going to try to say, because I have two x's, it should be fx squared. That is not true. That's not how that works. Do not do that. It's just straight 8x. And then if you just look at this, easily 8 times 9 is 72, as you know from multiplying. So of course your answer is B. And if you got that, you were correct. We can move on to the Okay, this is another easy one when you guys were learning graphs, linear graphs, exponential graphs. Okay, and you were learning how this went up. All you're doing is talking about the language. Now remember, when something is increasingly exponential, the slope tends to go like this, and then kind of like stay up, or it may come even for a while. But when something's linear, remember, linear means line. Okay, so that's a line. And this is a line without the endpoint. So don't let this confuse you. This is something that they have in now all the 9th and 10th grade books. So it's just straight this. Is it increasingly linear? And when you get ready to ask yourself this question, when you look here, it's at -8 and like -5. I'm going to draw a line here real quick. Okay, it's at -6, and remember, -6 is less than -4. These are less thans. Okay, so -4 is going up. I mean, -6 is going up. So when it's at -6, it's kind of like here on the line, kind of staying, but -4, it's going up, and -2, ideally it's supposed to go up at 0, which is a greater number. And remember, -2 is less than 0. It's going here, and -2, it's going here, and 0 is less than 2. And so here's like 3.5, it's up. So it's increasingly linear. And your correct answer is A. So those are quick. Look at those. Get these done quickly. Get them done quickly so that you can move on and do something that's harder. All right. We're going to move into one more math question before we go into the reading. So here's where the graph is, where it functions. This is an actual question from the SAT, and this is considered very easy because this is straight out of algebra. Okay, and if you can't remember it, let's go over it. The graph of the function f, once again, it's a function, is shown where y equals f of x. What is the y-intercept of the graph? Now remember, y-intercept is when x's value is equal to 0. And I know sometimes that gets hard to remember because you're turning them around. And a lot of times people want to say, oh, it's when y equals 0, but it's not. So it's when x equals 0. So if you go down here, they all equal 0. So that doesn't help you anything. But it's also when the point crosses at the 4, okay, or -4, or it's where it crosses. So when they cross, they're right here. And please don't get this confused just because they put, they confuse you and put X. Just remember, this is X, okay, and this side is X, and this and that. X is always going horizontally. So all of these are X points, and even though they labeled it here, that doesn't mean anything. And once they label the Y, this is going Y straight up. Okay, so here's where it crosses, hits right here. It's 0 and -4, so very easy. That's your answer. Another thing, if you get confused, you could always set up the y equals mx plus b slope-intercept equation. It's not going to get you anywhere in this equation because m times 0 is 0, and then all you're going to know is that b is going to equal -4 too, which is going to tell you your slope is going to, it's going to pretty much move to the left and 4, and then it's going to go up 1. So are we moving to the left from this place 4? So 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1? Kind of we are. See, and that's what you have to do when you want to find this intercept. Okay, you can always go back and check. If this confuses you, just remember, it's always when it crosses, it crossed here, 0, -4. On to the next equation, and we're getting off of math. We're going to go on into reading. Okay, so now we're in the reading section. In 1954, George Balanchine choreographed a production of The Nutcracker, a ballet by Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky. It has since become a tradition for hundreds of dance companies in North America to stage The Nutcracker each year. But the show is stuck in the past with an old-fashioned story and references, so it should no longer be produced. Ballet needs to create new traditions if it wants to stay relevant to contemporary audiences. Text 2, The Nutcracker, is outdated, but it should be kept because it's a holiday favorite and provides substantial income for some dance companies. Although it can be behind the times, there are creative ways to update the show. For example, Debbie Allen successfully modernized the story. Her show, Hot Chocolate Nutcracker, combines ballet, tap, hip-hop, and other styles. It has been gaining popularity since it opened in 2009. And the question asks you, based on the text, how would the author of text 2 most likely respond to the underlying claim in text 1? So let's go ahead and look at the underlying claim, which is stuck in the past. Okay, and very limited here to say it should no longer be produced, because I kind of guess it means nobody wants to be stuck in the past. Now, as I was reading, I recall that this person came up with an example of how the Nutcracker is combined in the present, and he also said there are creative ways to do it, so it's not that text 2, and you could pretend for all intents and purposes that these are really speakers. Okay, you could say speaker 2 and the first one is speaker 1. So anyway, this text speaker really kind of agrees with speaker 1 or agrees with him on something. He says, yeah, but you know what? Even though you kind of say that it's old and outdated, there is a way to do the Nutcracker so that it is done with a modern flair. So it's okay. Okay. It's been gaining popularity since it opened in 2009. Even the old Nutcracker provides substantial incomes for dance companies. So let's move on and see what our choices are. So as we continue this question, remember that we are thinking about what the author of text 2, oh boy, you can't see that, but what the author of text 2 most likely thinks about this underlying claim. Okay, so text 1, and for all intents and purposes, you can call these people speakers. Like this would be speaker 1, and this would be speaker 2. And as I'm writing, I want you to look at what the underlying claim is. And the underlying claim is that the show is stuck in the past with an old-fashioned story and references, so it should no longer be produced. And I don't know why this period isn't showing up, but it's not anyway. And then here's really what's going on. Speaker 2 gives you an example. He says, yeah, well, the Nutcracker may be outdated, but it should be kept because it's a holiday favorite. And he goes on and says it provides substantial income. And when he's talking about like it provides income for dance companies as it is. And it may be behind the times, so he kind of agrees with him there. He says creative ways to update the show. Then he goes here and he gives an example. For example, Debbie Allen successfully modernized the story. Her show, Hot Chocolate Nutcracker, combines ballet, tap, hip-hop, and other styles. It has been popular. So when you're on these tests and you see them giving an example of something, that might be one thing to do. So let's go over these questions. Does speaker 2, this guy here, does he question the idea that the story of the Nutcracker is stuck in the past? And does he reject the suggestion that contemporary audience would enjoy an updated version? Absolutely not, because he gives an example. So A's out. Can we get rid of all of this? By agreeing that contemporary audiences have largely stopped going to see performances of the Nutcracker because it's so old-fashioned. If he agreed with that, why is it providing a substantial income? It's a holiday favorite. He says it, so it's not B. All right, as I'm scratching this, read C, because C says by pointing out that most dance companies could increase their incomes by offering modernized versions of the Nutcracker. Well, when he got into increased incomes, he was really talking about the way it is, old. So while this may be a possibility, he's talking about the old, updated version. And be careful of this because the SAT plays this question on you. Okay, it does this. And like this C is a possibility, okay, but look at what it's doing, and let's see if D is better or if D is going to kind of turn around and do what A did and do a complete opposite of what he's saying. So D is by suggesting that dance companies should consider offering revised versions of the Nutcracker instead of completely rejecting the show. Okay, well, here's what the answer key has. It has D. D is correct because he's saying there's substantial income, but they can also do something else with the show. D is your answer. And so if you have any questions, we are at jacobitslearning at gmail.com or kjacobits at jacobitslearning.com. Thank you so much for watching.